Hey yo, I'm Miss Linnea Lark, and today we're going to be learning all about composition and collage. Let's start with the project. We're going to use a 3.5 by 5-inch jumbo playing card to make a vibe collage. A vibe is a person's emotional state or the atmosphere of a place. For this collage, you must include and glue down 6 overlapping layers. You must include your vibe in your image as well. Your image must have a foreground, middle ground, and background, as well as a focal point, a clear structure, a design structure, and be balanced and harmonious. I know that's a lot of stuff, but every piece of art you make from now until the day you die should just about have all of those things. So let's go ahead and start now. Let's start with some inspiration and a reminder of some of the design structures that you can choose from. First, and a crowd favorite, is the rule of thirds. Important images are lined up on the thirds and especially in the cross-section points. You can also use a pyramid structure. People like triangles because they are sturdy and well balanced. Arrange your image to create a large triangle. Next is radial. Radial design has elements coming out or going toward a central point, like radial spokes on your bicycle wheel. There's symmetry, where you have equal weight balancing each other out on either side of your composition. Asymmetrical design uses color, shape, and space to balance each other out in less obvious ways. Sometimes something small and important can balance something large if it's placed in the right place. Now, don't worry, kids, I got your back. We're going to use one of my handy-dandy brainstorming worksheets to plan and prepare for this creative endeavor. If you'd like to get a copy for yourself at home, you can follow the link in my description below to my Teachers Pay Teachers site, where you can purchase it. And then I can get rich. Filthy stinking rich. Or at least I can pay all my bills on time. Lord willing. Now that I've committed to a vibe, I'm brainstorming things and images that represent that vibe to me. You should also figure out what types of colors you're planning on using. Dark and moody, bright and bold, light and pastel, or warm earth tones. Or even neutrals like gray, black, and brown. Once that's all done, I flip it over and I've got to collect some references. References are photographs from the internet of other people's artwork or photographs to help you draw or maybe collage better in this case. It's always good to research what kind of art is out there because it can give you ideas, but also so you can see what your possibilities are. You'll need to find 2 assemblage collages, 2 mixed media collages, and 2 artworks about your vibe. The last 2 can be any media. It could be a painting or a sculpture, I don't care, as long as it's got your vibe as the core concept. So I hit Pinterest and go hunting for inspirational art, and this is what I found. If you're in my class, you're going to need to print these out. I find that the fastest and easy way to print out your Pinterest board is to take a screenshot of all of your images and then upload that screenshot into a Google Doc and then hit print. Easy peasy. And now that I got an idea and I've been properly inspired, it's time to plan out my compositions. Now, these thumbnails shouldn't be super specific. You can use simple shapes and maybe use some imagery that you think you'll be looking for, but just realize that with collage, the composition really depends on what in the world you can find. But for now, I'm just going to make one generic symmetrical design, a rule of thirds design, and a pyramid design. Don't get married to these ideas. We're just trying to get your creative juices flowing. You got to be flexible and go with the flow when cutting and pasting. All right, we have some ideas. We're committed to a vibe. It's time to go hunting. Here are some of my favorite places to find quality imagery in the wild. Used bookstores are a treasure trove. Check out the illustrations in the anatomy books and the sciencey looking books. You can check out any old magazines they might have. I especially like the older Nat Geos that have this leafy border. That means that they're on the old side, sometime in the 70s or before. They have a lot of advertisements that were illustrated back then, so I like those a lot. If you're lucky, you can even find a Nat Geo that includes an old-timey map. Those are always cool. And they make for great collages. I also prefer fashion magazines, Rolling Stone, and Time magazine. Time has great illustrations. Now, if you can't find what you're looking for at a used bookstore, you can also go to a thrift store. This is a great place to find crafting supplies like fabric and thread and more. Anything that can be glued down can be used for a collage. If you're looking for something special and are willing to pay a little bit more money, then you can go to your local antique mall. You can always find some antique photographs for a decent price. You can even go yard selling to find something interesting. One thing that can really be cool is old sewing patterns. And the last place that I look for some interesting material is my kitchen. You can use parchment paper, butcher paper, tin foil, wax paper, anything goes. If you're in my class and have any of these things at home, please bring them in and use them. No need to go spend money. People are always really generous with their paper donations, and I have a little collection in the classroom. If you have anything to donate to the classroom, I would be eternally grateful to you. Okay, before we start collecting imagery, I want to put some ideas in your mind of all the possibilities with collage. That way you know what to collect. I'm going to show you some amazing artists and their Instagram handles to get you extra inspired and hopefully following some great artists. I DM'd each one of them to get permission to use their art in this video, and they were all sweet and so generous to allow me. It's truly amazing how kind and willing they all were to inspire high school collage artists. Ah, tear. I'm truly touched. Thank you guys. Okay, so here's your collage toolkit. First up is paper cutout. You can use an X-Acto blade to cut imagery out super precisely, but you can also use that negative space that you just cut out. Check out these collages by Marco. He cuts out important parts of the imagery and fills the spaces with patterns and other paper to create visual interest. Super unique. Play with proportions. Make big things small and small things seem huge. One of the cool things about collage is that if things aren't the exact perfect realistic size and shape, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Then there's silhouettes. You can use the positive space from a paper cutout to create a striking silhouette as well. If you find a distinct image, you can layer it with another piece of colored or textured paper while cutting it out to create a silhouette. Make sure you pinch the paper together tightly so that they don't move while you're cutting. When cutting small, complex images, I recommend using smaller and super sharp scissors like these. I love these scissors. Open your scissors wide and slowly cut your image out by cutting tightly along the outer edge of your image. Make sure there's not like a weird gap between your cut and the image. Your cutting hand will stay put. Don't move it. All it does is open and close the scissors. As you're cutting, your non-dominant hand will slowly pivot the paper to give you a tight cut. I only mention it because every year some teenager starts cutting around a circle like this. And it's embarrassing for all of us. Quit cutting like a kindergartner. For heaven's sake, you're about to be paying taxes and driving on public roads soon. Get your life in order. Anyway, silhouettes are a lovely way to add a little eccentricity to your work. Another way you can create images is to layer shapes. You can basically draw with shapes, with colored shapes. Let's say I really want to put a smiling sun in this image. I don't really, but let's just say that I do. I can use tracing paper to trace my playing card, and this will allow me to draw out a sun the correct size for my composition. Once it's drawn, I will cut it out on top of a yellow piece of paper, and now I have a yellow sun shape. Hip hip hooray! I can also find another yellow color to make more rays if I want, and then use a hole puncher to make some pretty blue eyes. I can cut out some eyebrows and buck teeth, and now I've got my image. You can build all kinds of complex or simple imagery just by cutting out and layering shapes onto your collage. How exciting! Paper mosaics. Let's say you really need an image of a toilet, but you can't find one. Or maybe you do find one, but it's the wrong size. You're not going to find one, believe me. Why a toilet, you ask? Well, because I happen to know how impossible it is to find a picture of a toilet in print. Now stop asking questions. The point is, mosaics are a great way to paint with paper. You can do simple shapes or even more detailed shapes. You'll rip or cut up colors and values of paper. Notice that when I'm ripping the paper, that the side I lift up doesn't have the white deckled edge. The side that stays flat has the white torn edge. Do with that what you will, but I like the torn edges. When making a paper mosaic, it's important to consider the size, placement, and rhythm of your pieces. Try to make all the pieces on the small side and all the shapes pretty even and similar so that one piece doesn't stick out from all the others. Notice that the direction that I glue each piece down is also important. The direction of the shapes can help my hills feel rounder. You want your pieces to blend together to create one image to your eye. Paper mosaic is very time consuming, but can really be striking and worth the effort. Another popular collaging tool is dissection. You can cut apart images and place weird or interesting things between them. You can take a piece out and pop something else inside. Make it weird, make it fun. This is the power of collage, y'all. On to combos. This is maybe my favorite tool in the tool chest. I like to find something interesting and then find something totally unrelated that fits perfectly together. And then I combine those for a creative and oftentimes disturbing outcome. There's also this special serendipity feeling that comes over me when I make a great combo that makes me feel inspired. It's wildly satisfying. Check out some of these awesome combos. You can also fill the shape. Find an image with a clearly defined shape, pop it out with an X-Acto blade, and then replace it with something else. Simple, but oh so sweet. Next is clusters. Make wild hairdos, weird body shapes. Just use your sense of balance to cluster images together. It's important to make sure that the images you are clustering have good contrast between them so that they are easy to see. I loved these clouds and this crazy girl together, but gray on gray just doesn't have enough contrast. The girl was really hard to see and I couldn't end up making it work. Up next is slicing, dicing, and weaving. You can slice your images up for a nice linear look or pattern. You can insert another image between them to make a complex overlapped image. Or you can weave two images together like a basket. A little tricky and time consuming, but this can be a fun way to add complexity to your image. Remember, weaving is over, under, and then you reverse it on the next pass. And then you repeat again. This brings me to pattern and repetition. Lots of great collage artists use geometry and patterns in their work. You can make a repeating sequence or be a little looser with it and just add repeating colors and similar shapes. Repetition is a great and easy way to create harmony in your work. Notice how my blue blobs repeat and help fill out the space in a harmonious way. Now that I've gone over about a bazillion collaging tools for ya, it's time to start scavenging. But first, let's look at our list from our brainstorming worksheet of all the things that we're looking for. When collaging, it's a good idea to collect way more than you actually are going to use. You don't know what you're going to be able to find and how it's all going to fit together. You need options and possibilities. So over-collect. I'm going to start with the imagery list on my brainstorming worksheet. I may or may not use them all, but they're on my radar to collect. Things like suns, hearts, smiling mouths, feasts, chocolates, babies, water, whatever. I also want to think about what colors could work for joy. Yellow is my first thought for joy, so I chose to look for bright and beautiful and bold colors that might look great with yellow. Lots of intensity, I'm thinking, for joy. But it's always a good idea to also include some neutrals like black, white, and browns. Those go with any color palette. It's important to find harmonious colors, but if you find something that doesn't quite fit, that's okay. Go ahead and save it. You never know if it will come in handy. If I find any large swatches of bright and happy colors, I'm going to snag those as well. You never know if I'm going to use them for a mosaic or a silhouette. I'm also thinking clouds and skies could be good for a background. I definitely want happy looking people, and both flowers and nature make me super joyful. And don't forget, I need to include the word joy in my image, so I need to look for words somewhere with a J-O and a Y so that I can either paste them together or, if I'm lucky, actually just find the word joy somewhere. That's rare though. Your word is probably going to look more like a ransom note, and that's okay. Just remember that the worst thing that you can do when collecting papers is to not over-collect. Go through like 5 magazines and you only rip out 3 pages. Like, what are we doing? Today is not the day to save the trees. Today is the day to search and destroy. Collect anything and everything you might be able to use for your vibe card. Also notice that up until this point, all I'm doing is collecting pages. I'm not cutting anything out. I'm not ripping anything other than the whole page out of the booklets.
For the first day or two, all we really want to do is collect as many options as we can totally find.
Alright, you guys, that's where this video ends today. All you gotta do is collect your imagery, find people, places, and objects that fit your chosen vibe. Get lots of colors that fit that color scheme that you chose. Collect the unexpected and anything that might help you. And don't forget to over-collect. No need to start cutting anything at this point. Just gently rip out 20 to 40 pages today, all right? In the next video, I'm gonna walk you through how to cut out your imagery really good, how to arrange it, and then also how to problem solve if you get a bad arrangement. How do you go about fixing it? Okay, I hope you guys will tune in next time for that video. If you'd like to purchase my Vibe Collage brainstorming worksheet, you can find that link to my Teachers Pay Teachers site in the description below. Or if you want to get some of the same collaging tools that I use, I have made a list on my Amazon affiliate page. You can find that link in the description below as well. It's all the stuff that I buy from my classroom and my students from the school. And if you buy from my link, I also get a small kickback of dollar bills, y'all, from Amazon. Hip hip hooray! And thanks for your support, you guys. I hope you have a happy day.